When you were talking about recording and getting great recordings, you're talking about the best solos, or when you're out of you're not thinking, as the
Right.
Japanese call it, mushin. You're of no mind.
Oh,
And
yeah, absolutely.
So can you share a little bit about? I guess it's a combination of the songwriting process and also improvising. Improvising obviously is you're making something up on the spot, but also there's songs that we work out and we have kind of a certain way that we play.
Sure.
So maybe talk a little bit about, okay, well, for these songs, I have kind of a way that I play them and they pretty much stay the same. Where do your solos tend to be the same way, or do you maybe work out the hook or the head and then the solos are of that no mind idea? Just what's your approach to improvising in kind of the general sense?
Well, certain, like instrumentals, let's say a tune like Blues in a Dream, there's a certain architecture that remains consistent. And even some of the choruses, like, remain the same. I mean, I kick it off the same way. I mean, if you're going to call a song, there's certain things that make it that song.
It's a composition.
Yeah. So, but within it, in some of the middle choruses, I just play wherever it's taking me. But then I come back to, certain things I want to do. I mean, I have a way of building up to the break and things like that. So it's a combination of having something planned and just playing spontaneously.
Thank you. When a student asks you about improvising, now we know there's got to be a lot of years of hard work that go in before this moment of, well, it's just like language. We start off as little children, we can't speak. We mimic our parents and the people around us, we learn words, and then we're cute when we try to make sentences because it doesn't quite work, but the adults get the gist. When a student comes and says that, how do you improvise? How do I go about it? And they'll say, I feel like I can play. I got some songs I can play, but I'm just not happy with it. What do you tell them?
Well, the analogies to language are they're just so close. Just in speaking, the convolutions and movements internally to produce your words, what your tongue is doing. Does it hit the roof of your mouth? Or do you put your tongue between your teeth? What's happening internally? You never think about it whatsoever, okay? And if you had to think consciously about it, let's say you take the word think. To say the word think, the first thing you have to do is put your tongue between your teeth. Then you withdraw it and make a vowel sound, E. Thee. Then the back of your tongue hits the roof of your mouth to make the N sound. Thee. And then you pop the back of your throat, and then you think. Okay? Now, if you had to consciously think about pronouncing every word, it would take you 6 weeks to get a sentence out. But because it's second nature, it comes out. And as you're speaking, as I'm speaking to you, I'm not really thinking in advance about what I'm going to say. It's spontaneously. A thought is popping into my mind, and I'm producing the sounds immediately, and it comes out hopefully in some kind of coherent fashion. Mm-hmm. Okay? And that is exactly what playing music is. It's moment to moment. You're thinking of the music just as I'm thinking of what I'm going to say to you. And if you've done your homework and trained your body to produce the sounds just as your body has been trained to produce the words, it's a very close analog.
Great example.
So what you have to do, practice is a very conscious procedure. if you practice, you know, just don't start waving the harp around or whatever. Have a focus. Be practicing a specific thing. Because it's all about muscle memory. I mean, the harmonica or any other instrument, it's just an inert object. You are training your body. The instrument doesn't change, it's just sitting there. But you're training your body. So you have to train your responses. So if it's a technique and you're trying to make your tongue do something, or your throat, or whatever it is, you try and reinforce that. And what I say to my students is, if you have, let's say you have an hour a day to practice, you're better off practicing 20 minutes 3 times a day, or 15 minutes 4 times a day, or whatever, than practicing once for an hour. Because every time you come back to that, you reinforce the muscle memory. So you have to get a certain, you know, technical command as far as your sound production, and then you have to learn the instrument as far as where the notes are, so that you translate instantly. You hear something in your head and you immediately know what to do physically. I mean, it's just an automatic response. And then it's just, Kim Wilson, my good friend, had a great analogy. He said it was just like skiing. You know, you're just, you know, and you're just adjusting as you're
Reacting, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's a moment-to-moment thing. I may not know what I'm going to play, but sometimes the instrument will tell me, or what I'm playing leads me to the next thought. And hopefully it's just all of a piece, and it's just a... But all art comes from the unconscious. So your best playing really is completely spontaneous. And when you think about it, you take a song like Juke or Off the Wall. If Walter sat down and you couldn't consciously construct something with such perfect balance and architecture of those songs, and yet they were spontaneously improvised, because his alternate versions of those songs are, as you know, completely different. That was just one spontaneous take. And yet, it came out with an architecture, an elegance in the architecture that you couldn't consciously compose. But because it comes from wherever music comes from, it comes out, if it comes out organically, it comes out with perfect balance and structure. It's a mystery.
And the blues has a language. One of the things that I have a common comment from students in regards to improvising, well, actually, let me reverse this. A student will come to me and say, I can play a little bit, I feel like I sound pretty good, but I kind of get old quickly. A song or two goes by and I think the audience is bored with what I'm playing because I'm bored with what I'm playing.
Right.
Then I'll say, how many songs have you learned? I mean, how many little Walter songs have you sat down with and learned how to play from beginning to end? Mm-hmm. I tell them that's the language of the blues. You got to learn the language, and they'll say, I actually haven't done that.
Yes, you have to learn the language. There is a language to the blues, and you can play completely fresh, play stuff that's never been played, but if you're really grounded, it should come out idiomatically correct in the blues. I mean, Kim Wilson, he never plays the same thing twice practically, yet it's always it's blues.
Yeah.
You know, you hear other guys and they're trying to be original or something, and to me, I mean, if it's supposed to be blues, well, it's not. It's just, you know, it's lame or it's crazy or whatever, but it's, you know. So you have to do your homework. I mean, people listen to something, you know, by the Allman Brothers, and oh man, yeah, that Allman Brothers tune, but they don't realize that they got it from Freddie King, who got it from Tampa Red. You know, you've got to learn that for a music with a great tradition and history, you have to learn that stuff from the ground up. You got all these guitar players wanting to be Stevie Ray Vaughan, but they just skim Stevie Ray Vaughan. But Stevie Ray Vaughan had it all the way down there. He knew, you know, he knew it from the ground up. And that's why he became Stevie Ray Vaughan. You know, you can't just skim the surface and cop the last thing going and think you know it. You know, you got to do your homework. You know, but if you love it, then, you know, it should be fun. You know, music should be fun.
We play music, right? We don't work music, as
Exactly.
Rick Estrin says.
Exactly, that's right, yeah.